Summary of Water Wars, a discussion of the Edwards Aquifer Water Crisis, by Matthew Carson Cottingham Miles, 1997. Overview. This paper examines the complex and often contentious battle over the Edwards Aquifer, a major underground water source in central Texas, which spans 180 miles and serves millions for drinking, agriculture, industry, and ecosystem health. The crux of the crisis lies in overuse, outdated water laws, conflicting regional interests, and the presence of endangered species dependent on spring flows fed by the aquifer. Geological and hydrological context. The aquifer is a karstic limestone formation formed 100 million years ago. Stretches from Bracketville, Kinney County, to Kyle, Hayes County. Divided into three parts: Edwards Plateau, drainage; Balcones Fault Zone, recharge area; and Coastal Plain, artesian zone. Recharge comes primarily from the Nueces and San Antonio River basins, and Comal and San Marcos Springs discharge into the Guadalupe River. The springs contribute 30–70% of the base flow in the Guadalupe River, depending on drought conditions. Competing interests. Western counties, e.g. Medina, primarily agricultural irrigation. Bexar County, San Antonio, urban and industrial use. Eastern counties, Comal, Hayes, tourism and endangered species habitat. San Antonio uses over 56% of the water, but contributes only 10.5% to recharge, while western farmers contribute 67% to recharge, but use only 35%. Legal and regulatory issues. Texas groundwater law is based on the rule of capture, absolute ownership. Landowners can pump unlimited water beneath their land. This rule leads to a tragedy of the commons scenario, encouraging overpumping with no responsibility to others or the ecosystem. A 1991 example: a catfish farm pumped 50 million gallons a day legally under this outdated doctrine. Environmental laws and litigation. The Endangered Species Act, ESA, forced the state to act due to threats to species like fountain darter, San Marcos salamander, Texas wild rice. Sierra Club vs. Lujan, 1993. Found excessive pumping caused harm, taking under ESA. Court compelled the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, FWS, to define minimum spring flows and warned Texas to act or face federal intervention. Regulatory reforms. The EAA, Senate Bill 1477, 1993, created the Edwards Aquifer Authority, EAA, to regulate withdrawals. A powers. Limit pumping to 450,000 acre-feet year, then 400,000 after 2007. Issue permits based on historical usage, 1972–1993. Create critical period management plans with tiered drought restrictions. Enforce conservation and metering. Initially blocked by Voting Rights Act challenges, lack of elected representation, then restored with amendments in 1995. Continuing legal and political challenges. Property rights lawsuits loom. If EAA denies permits or reduces allocations, pumpers may sue for unconstitutional takings. Federal courts temporarily halted pumping during 1996 drought under ESA authority. Sierra Club filed more suits arguing endangered species remained unprotected. Incidental take permits, ITPs, from the FWS offer limited legal immunity for lawful pumping with conservation plans, but not all interests are satisfied. Key takeaways. Texas groundwater law is outdated, rooted in 19th century English common law, and clashes with modern ecological realities. The EAA is the first serious effort to regulate the aquifer, but it may fail unless Texas redefines groundwater as a public resource, not private property. Endangered species protection laws are now de facto regulators in Texas groundwater law due to state inaction. Water is no longer just a utility. It is a battleground, both legal and ecological. Author's conclusion. True conservation cannot happen while groundwater is treated as a private property right. Texas must reform its water laws, recognizing groundwater as public like surface water, to avoid further environmental collapse and costly litigation. As George W. Bush said, water can be war. Would you like this turned into a slide deck, infographic, or briefing report with maps?